Hey, Fran. Fran, do you hear the echo now on my end? Chisa, I see you if you want to. Hey, sis. Hey, can y'all hear an echo still on my end? Okay, perfect. Hey, brother, can you hear everybody hear me? Okay. All right. I thought I brought Chisa up, but I cannot see her for some reason. Okay, there we go. I got it now. All right. I'm just, hey, we're back. We're back.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Is that better now, everybody?
Can everybody, is everybody good now? Everybody here?
I see some other people on. Hey, everybody. Can you
Yeah.
guys hear us well? If you can hear, go ahead and, oh, we got it good. Okay, so then maybe it's just,
We're
it was
good.
just
We're good.
connection.
All right. Well,
Okay.
I'll give us the kickoff again for the new folks that had joined. We had a little technical difficulty, so we had to shut down and restart. But yes, so thank y'all for joining us tonight. This series I call Generational Pathways Conversation. Tonight, our guest is Miss Chisa Pennix-Brown. She is the owner of a new studio of Give It to the People. She is also formerly, but still known as Lady Business, and also Real Ass Affirmations. That is a podcast. So I brought her on to talk to us about her generational wealth pathways. So I'm gonna let Chisa take the floor, just kind of give us some background about yourself. Chisa, tell us a little bit about how you got all those names. How you started all those businesses. Give it to the people, like Danielle said. Come on with it.
I don't know where we want to start, but let's just say, let's start from college, right? So it's actually homecoming this weekend for Elon University, slash Elon College, because I'm an old school fighting Christian.
That's right.
So,
That's what it was for y'all over there.
yeah, right. So it probably started before then, if you really want to be honest, as far as me seeing an opportunity for myself and my family to be able to be in a position to make money from something other than a job. And so it started in Mount Vernon, New York, to be honest with you, because my grandparents, they owned their house, but they had tenants. And so me seeing that and me just seeing the things that they were able to do, you know, I thought we were rich when we were young. And I would assume that, you know, we were probably just regular middle class. If you compare yourself to the other people that were in your circle, then I would definitely say, you know, we were affluent then. And so it probably started from there. And then when I came down here to North Carolina and went to Elon, I mean, Elon was one of those things where it was kind of like very prestigious, you know, and my family is from that Elon area anyway. So they, you know, I came down here every summer. And so I was able to see Elon basically my whole entire life. And then it just got to a point where it was kind of like, you know, I think I might want to go to this school.
Okay.
And I can say honestly that learning the things that I learned at Elon, and Elon is a PWI, predominantly white institution, but the way that things work, the way that people think, the wealth that you're able to see, if you can see it in a younger age, it definitely helps to kind of shape the person that you decide that you want to be. And I knew I never really wanted to work for anybody if I didn't have to. I knew that, you know, I could take the education that I had and do something with it that was going to be just for me. And so it turned into doing that. And I had some jobs when I was first out of college, and then probably up till, I don't know, 20, I know I stopped working for people before I turned 30. I know it was that. So it was somewhere in that range or so. So, and God, it sounds weird when you say it like that. I didn't really think about it.
So you
So,
stopped working for people by the time you turned.
you know what? I mean, I don't think I've ever really said it like that, but I really do think that is, yes, that's definitely the case. I've never really, I don't know, that just blew my mind to even say that. I don't think I really ever thought about it like that. But yeah, that's actually what happened. And so I think that whenever you look at what your upbringing is, because it does start from what you were taught as a kid. And it also is the opportunities to see other things that allow you to decide that generational wealth or just wealth in general is something that you want. And so, you know, being from New York and just having a diverse background, seeing different people, going to different places, and taking into consideration that my education wasn't just the typical education when I was young, and being in a melting pot, I think that that kind of really formed the idea of, okay, well, you can have nice things, and not only can you have them, you deserve to have nice things. So a lot of times I think, like, when we talk about people now and why you don't see people doing certain things is because they were never exposed to them. So they don't know any better to want something more than they've been exposed to. So like, if you look at the kids now, they have so much more than we did, just technology wise. They have so much more to want, but it's a different type of want. I think theirs is more so a want for clout, and ours was more a want for being able to have the type of lifestyle that we wanted. And lifestyle wasn't just, let me put on sneakers and you know, and jewelry, and that was never the thing. Like, my lifestyle that I wanted was, we had our house that was in Mount Vernon, but then they had property that was in the Poconos. You know, we used to go upstate to New York. My parents had BMWs when I was young and all kinds. So it was one of those things where it wasn't like, I'm just trying to do this just to stunt, right? It wasn't how it is today. It was more so, this is nice, this is luxury. I deserve to have nice things. And not only do I deserve it, I'm going to work for the nice things that I want to have. And I'm going to have something on the side that's still going to make me some money, so that, you know, retirement was in their mind. My mind was never on retire from a job. That was never something that I ever thought. And like, even with what I do now, I don't plan on retiring. I still want to help people start and grow their businesses. So I don't see a retirement date in there, but I do think that that exposure that I had, the opportunities to be around other people, and then when I came to North Carolina, it was totally a different kind of thing as far as the things that people were interested in. But when I went to Elon, it was like, okay, well, look at, you know, all of these different people, and they're coming from all these different places. And so to me, it was very realistic in the shape of, you know, like how the world works with people, and being able to be in different places and be comfortable being a Black woman, being a dark-skinned Black woman. And I was always thick, okay? Being a thick woman too, right? I was always thick. I'm a little thicker than I was, you know, when it was Elon, but still being a thick girl, you know, just being in that position, and people being able to make sure that they're listening to you because you're saying something that's of value, but not being uncomfortable. Like, I don't think I've ever been in a situation where I'm like, oh my God, it's too many of somebody that doesn't look like me and I'm not comfortable. No, I make myself comfortable. And I try to also make other people feel comfortable, understanding that there is value in whatever it is that I'm bringing to the table. So it started young, it kept progressing, and I think it's still going.
And it is. I mean, just following your story, knowing you since way before, I think, the Elon days. I think it was like, was it middle school when y'all met? I can't even remember when you met.
No.
But knowing you all those years, always been someone that has, like, you're so hard all the time. Like, it was just so amazing to me. Now you're still doing it. Now you're like, you're give it to the come tell me a little bit about what you got kind of off the ground. Like, you have started all these things. Day Focus. I got the book behind me, y'all. 90-Day Focus. Like, how did you kind of just all these stages, and then this business has just evolved over time?
If you keep living, you should keep learning. You should always keep evolving. And for me, I don't know what this drive or determination is, but, you know, and I know we spoke offline, but there is something to me that I think is, I'm just drawn to my birthday. I don't know what it is. I don't know, you know, it's this feeling inside of me that tells me it's something else that you need to do. It's something else that you need to achieve. So I always hold my birthday, which is June 2nd, if y'all want to send presents. Okay, you can cash out Lady Business. But June 2nd, right? I'm a Gemini. It's something about that date that makes me feel like, what else can I do? What else can I achieve? What else can I add on? And so I think it's a layered approach to adding on something that maybe I wasn't doing before or improving something. I think that there is a time frame every year, like this time of year, I get super focused on what's going to happen for next year. So really to me, it's kind of like once fall gets here, when October 1st hits in, I'm straight focused on the next year. Like, yeah, it's still time left. It's still this 90-day focus in this year. But because of setting up whatever I did the previous 90 days, I try not to worry about what's happening in the rest of this year because I want my new year to be good. And I know my end of the year can be good because I had already worked on that 90 days beforehand to make the end of the year good. So I don't necessarily feel like, I don't know if I want to say like, everybody's like, oh, the New Year's, oh, let me crunch it in, let me do this. No, at the end of the year, that's really the time for me to relax and just to promote what's going to happen in the next year. So I'm never really in that position where I'm like scrambling or, really as stressed at the end of the year because I'm just more excited for the next year to come. And so when I look at, how I do things, it is cyclical and it is in the 90-day increments and it's definitely seasonal. And I always want to see what else I can do. And so in that time frame, I always want to learn some new stuff. So I go to a lot of different like conferences. I'll do stuff online. I want to experience things maybe in a different city, maybe in a different state. But I like to go to people's things too, because then it gives me other people to meet. It gives me new experiences myself. And then it makes me say, okay, well, what can I bring back here that I can do, and what else do I want to do to expand what I have? And then I just put that into place, and then that's how I think things keep growing. That's how they evolve. And for me, it's one of those things where I can't help it. It's like, what else are we going to do? So what's weird is this year has been what I would like to call a calmer year, because I didn't have stuff in place by the time that my birthday happened. I purposely said this year my word was calm. And if stuff didn't happen by the time that my birthday happened, then it was going to be okay and things could happen later. So this is why you see, like, we launched this business in, the launch date was October 8th, because things did not go the way that I planned on them going originally. The timeline just was a little bit off in my mind. But what I do know about planning and the timing is that the time is always going to be divine because God always has his hand on my timer.
That's right.
So instead of trying to force it this time, I just was calm, and I've been calm all year long. And I allowed God to really just guide me to say, this is the divine timing that this is supposed to happen. And you don't need to worry about XYZ because this happened. You know that this is in place and you don't have to be stressed about certain things, and things will come to you in the order and the divine timing that they're supposed to. So it's made this year a very different year for me than probably any other year, with the exception of 2020 in my life, because I'm a new creature. I'm calmer than I've ever been. And that may sound crazy because anybody that knows me knows I be on 10 all the time. But I'm just in a calmer state because, I don't know, God has just blessed me to keep seeing these years and to keep doing what I'm doing. And so I'm just taking things in a different rate and not trying to force stuff as much. And I think that that's why things are better, from an internal mental health perspective.
Yes. And you have to, like you will have all these ideas, you gotta leave space. That is my thought.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
It came. It just didn't when you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good that you left space there in time for that to happen. So that thing that you're talking about, talk to us about that. You and God. You open up that.
So the thing that we have is called Give It to the People. And it started as a podcast in 2020. And my goal was to start it as more of a live stream podcast where we had a studio that we had opened, and we wanted to be able to showcase businesses. So we focused on Black-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, and nonprofits. And every Sunday we would get up and we would have two guests that would come into our studio. We would interview them. Each person had a 1-hour interview, and then people would watch it live on Facebook, and it was doing well. But then what happened was 2020 came, like the later part of 2020, and you had to shut stuff down. So we still did some things, and we transitioned from Facebook over to Instagram, and then we did them on Wednesday nights, and that was going well. And then, you know, I was like, you know what, at some point in time, I'm going to want another studio. I'm going to want to be back around people, but do I want to do things the same way? And it was just led to where it was like, listen, this business was so different because it took a long time for me and my husband to, well, not me. I always knew I wanted us to be in business together, but for him to be comfortable enough to be like, yes, let's do this business together. And so sometimes I think, you know, you have to just go through some things so that this way you can get your mindset together to say, yes, I'm going to commit to doing this, and this is my part. And so when I tell people about starting businesses and even growing the businesses, you got to realize what your strengths are. And if you know you're not good at something, you have choices of either hiring somebody else, or you can find somebody that can work with you and they'll do it for free. And that's where I like to say it's a voluntold type of position. And so once, you know, he decided, yeah, we're going to get in this and we're going to do this together, it just totally changed the way that business was done. And it's some things that I can say that I do that get on his absolute nerves. And it's things that he does that gets on my absolute nerves. But what we've learned over this time frame is sometimes he wants to be a little more like me and I want to be a little bit more like him. So learning to work with somebody is a major thing, especially when that person is your spouse and you live together and you see each other every day. You know, you can't just go home and just talk about him like you would talk about everybody else, because the only person you're talking to is him, about him, right? So it's like, you know, if it was regular business, you could be like, girl, let me tell you what she did. Let me tell you what he did. Let me tell you what they did. And then, so what do you do when it's your spouse and you're in business together? Well, let me tell you what you did. You know, so it's like, you have to have a balance that everybody brings their skill set to the table. And so once we did that, then they made it easier to do this business and say, well, we're good at this, and this is what we can do to help other people with businesses. And the content curation was definitely one of the things. And, you know, doing the videos, the behind the scenes type stuff, that stuff worked really well for us. And so, you know, when we can say, what are we good at individually, and then put it together as a business, that was how Give It to the People came about, as far as this is the brick and mortar that we're going to do. And we had a totally different iteration of this prior to my birthday, which is why things changed in the first place, because we were originally going to open something that was more like your, not regular, but more like a regular event center. That was the original vision, because that's what I always saw. But when we went into the place that we're in now, God was like, listen, maybe that's not what you're supposed to be doing. Change it up a little bit and really focus on what you already know you are good at, which is the business community. And so as much as I love, you know, events in general, that wasn't what it was supposed to be right now. And part of that changed because of the location that we picked. But when we did our launch party, everybody's like, oh my God, this place is so you. It's so colorful. It's so, you know, professional. It's so, and so everybody just loved the place. And they were like, oh my God, yes, girl, I'm gonna book something. Let me figure out what I'm gonna book. And I'm like, that's what we wanted. So I think that that collaboration, that connection that we had, and that you know, just recognizing what each other did well was really what made the difference in this business.
That's wonderful. So, and I know what you all do, the content. Can you talk a little bit about help people, because you have this space people with their businesses?
Oh yeah, so sure. So we do a couple of different things, and so we kind of broke it into 3 different areas. The biggest thing is what we call curated conferences. So the curated conferences is basically, listen, you want to have a conference, you want to have a small event, because our space cannot fit more than 25 people. So it gives you, what I like to say, one of the things with our business that we always want to give people, if we look at it as like a base root of what we do, is confidence. And so, like, I just had a brand new client come in, what is today? Today's Tuesday, right? And she's like, listen, I've been following you for years. I saw what you put up. I couldn't come to the launch party, but I knew when I saw what you were doing, that's what I wanted to be a part of. So the first thing is the curated conferences. And she was like, look, I've wanted to have a conference. I know what I'm talking about. I could definitely do some training, but I didn't have a space. And she was just like, once you said that you will help us with the marketing, she was like, that was key, that was clutch. And that's exactly what I want to do, because the thing is, what are you good at? and what are other people bad at. And so when you are looking to solve a problem, that was our main thing. People that want to be speakers, if they're talking about being an author, if they, decided they want to teach something, that is really where our niche is. And we decided that we were not going to try to go too far outside of that niche, because we know that those people, whether it's a nonprofit, a for-profit, if they're traveling, if they're coming from out of state, or if they're not in the city, or even if they are in the city or in the county, the thing is, you're not going to find a place that's going to do all of the things that we're going to be able to help you do. So the space is part of it. Everybody's going to rent you a space, but are they going to help you with the marketing? Absolutely not. Not usually, right? Then when you add in, on top of that, you can bring your own food, or we can get the food for you. We'll set the stuff up, and then we'll clean it up for you. So you can just walk in, have your event, and leave, once you're done. Yes, concierge. So in a definite sense, in the idea of concierge, the only difference is that I would say with that is that we basically are co-sponsoring the event with you. So we're not just saying, let me just go ahead and put it on social media. We're also going to send your event to our list, right? We're going to make sure that people know about the event, and then, make sure that it is something that is an experience. Because I think that right now where people are missing is, okay, here goes the space. Here goes, the doors are open. But they're not trying to actually give you an experience where you don't have to feel so stressed. So even in our studio, what we have is you could get dressed in there if you want to get dressed in there. If you want, it just depends on availability. We got a makeup artist, okay? We have photographers that you can have if you want them, videographers. So the stuff is that we don't actually have to supply all the things, but we have the network to be able to do those things for you. And once we know your time and how many people you want to have, then we can quote you a price that's accurate based upon what your needs are. And then now you go ahead and you have your event, right? And so the thing is, have you ever been trying to do your own event and something went wrong and you forgot something? You didn't have time to do something. All of those things are stressors that happen before an event. And if you're not a person that's used to doing events, it's even worse, right? And then you don't have anybody that you can say, okay, well, can you go to the store for me? Because it's just you that's out there. You don't have anybody that you can say, okay, well, do you have a pair of scissors? Do you have some tape? Do you have a printer? Can I print this last thing out? The problem is people are renting you space, but they're not actually providing you the service that goes along with that. So that's the main thing, is providing that service. The secondary thing would be also to help you with what we call a curated content intensives. So this is where you get 3 hours, sit down with me, let's create your content. And when I say that, I mean, it's done when you leave. So the videos that you need to go ahead and create, if you're going to make reels, if you're going to do some stuff that, whatever your templates are, those kind of things. If you want to record stuff that's audio, if you want to record some videos, if it's a training, I don't know. It just depends on what you want to do in those 3 hours. Then this way it gives you that time for your content. So depending on how you want to do things, then you can do it that way. We also have the availability for you to do the podcast. And what we do with that is my guy, he comes in, he records your stuff, he edits everything, and he sends you your files, and then you put it up and you're good to go. So all you need to do is come in. If it's you and you're recording by yourself, fine. If you have a guest, come in, record the stuff, we'll send you your files, and all your stuff is done. So I think the biggest thing with us was looking at all of the pain points that business owners had, all of the things that they wish that they had, and then being able to kind of look at a very specific niche and say, this is where we fit in, and this is what we can provide.
That is, that's the thing, give it to the people.
Yep.
It all, like, comments Dr. B said, that's heavenly.
It is.
Yeah, so Jenna said, yes, I come in, and I didn't even know this. You can help us with the content and help us with the event. Awesome. And I'm going to Dr. V's question. Can you long distance? Because she's in.
So the answer would be, could you get the podcast services long distance? The answer would be yes, you could do that. As far as it being recorded, because you don't have to be in the studio to record it, because you can do stuff online and then it can be edited and then it can still be sent to you. So if that's what you wanted to do, then yeah, you could definitely do that. But I just think that it's more so personally, when you get to come in, this is what I tell people. I say, come in, and when you're doing your podcast session, there we do charge. It's not like it's out of control as far as I'm concerned, because I know how much podcast studios cost. So let's look at it like this. It's $100 for the hour, okay? And some people charge even more than that. But if you do $100 for the hour, what I tell people is to look at the fact that the average podcast is about 23 minutes, right? Which means that in an hour, you could almost, if you lessen it and make it like a 20-minute podcast, you could get 3 episodes in there. If you shorten it even more than that, you could probably get 4 episodes in there, right? Which means then, let's just say even if you only did 2, you're paying like $50 per episode, but everything is edited and everything, and then you can go ahead and you can put it out. Now, you need to decide on what your rate is that you're going to put out, like how many of these you're actually going to do in a time frame. But I tell people, do not come to the studio and just record 1 podcast episode. Record at least 2 or more. And then now you have more content and you have more stuff that you can put out, you know? Okay, hold up. So what did she say? She said the class taught you how to set up your business, the Facebook, gave you the first vending opportunity at the civil rights. Listen, when I started my business, just FYI, I started my business vending. Okay. And I started because I was making jewelry. My mother at the time, she was making crocheted items. And then my friend at the time was making clothing. And both of them were working day jobs. And they didn't have, you know, they couldn't sell their stuff during the course of the day, or they didn't have access to be able to go out to as many events. And so when I started Lady Business, it was started from the vending perspective. And then I would take other people's things who didn't have that availability, and I would sell their stuff too. Now, I mean, could I have kept up doing that? I'm sure I could have, but it just is, it's a lot of work to keep going somewhere, setting something up, putting stuff down, keeping up with other people's inventory, to doing all the rest of that. And so I decided at a point in time, I was like, look, we don't really necessarily want to do this anymore in that manner. So we just started switching. And I mean, was I teaching when I first started? I was, but I wasn't teaching to the amount that I'm teaching now. Huh? That's what I'm thinking. Was I? But I wasn't teaching when I first started. I wasn't teaching when I first started. And then, you know, once I started doing that, then it was like, look, I've always wanted to help people grow their businesses. That was always the vision, right? Because I definitely believe you can have a job all you want. And I used to be one of those people that's like, look, quit your job and start a business. Okay, first of all, do you have money? So don't go out there and just quit your job, okay? And so go ahead and use that job to fund the business. And if you could just understand how, and this is what I like to say, my phrase, how my God works. My God puts me in position where I'm doing something that could have been 5, 10 years ago, 2 years ago, and then I didn't realize that that thing had already set me up for whatever the next thing.
Come through.
Kim done left out.
I lost you.
Okay, yeah, I saw you go out and then come back in. So I'm just going to tell y'all, because this is going to happen. You're going to see it anyway. So just recently, our company became one of the people that's a part of this movement for North Carolina that is called Black Wall Street Forward, okay? And Black Wall Street Forward is really trying to reimagine what Black Wall Street looks like today if we're doing things to make things happen today, right? And so I'm on the team for Durham, North Carolina, because there's not a Greensboro team, but I'm on the Durham team. And I love Durham. Anybody knows I used to live in Durham, Bull City all day. So if I was going to pick it up, you know, that's where else I would live, would be Bull City. So I'm on that team. Yesterday I go to Durham, and so nobody's heard this story before, Kim. I'm about to drop it on you. This is where the generational wealth comes in, right?
I'm about to
So I go to the meeting yesterday, and in my group, it's 12 of us, but then they broke the groups up into a group of 5 and a group of 6. So I'm in team 2, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to put down 3 different things that we give, that we can give, that we have access to, that can help other people grow their businesses. So I write my 3 things down, and then you're supposed to put them on the wall. So we put them on the wall. Everybody puts their things on the wall. So now, what is that? 6 times 3, so that's 24. So you got all of those on the wall, right? And then you're supposed to choose. You can use your own thing, but you can't use all of your own things. And you're supposed to choose from what everybody put up and put 3 of those things together to come up with one concept of what this looks like, right? So then you get another sheet and then you pick the 3 things and then you tell people, well, what is this that you want to do? So the long story short is I said, well, I want to do a curated conference, and the conference would specifically be for Black employees to turn into Black entrepreneurs. Now, that's the short version of it. So we vote, of course, right? Now, I won, okay? So this is what we're going to do for our team. And I don't really see that many people, which is why I feel like this is a unique thing, saying, look, Black employees, we want you to actually turn into entrepreneurs, and you don't have to leave your job. And so to take into consideration that these things don't have to be separate for you to make money, but that your job may not always be there for you, but this business that you create on the side, can definitely be there as something else that can add to your repertoire, but something else that you might grow, and you might want to leave that job, but they can coexist simultaneously. And I think that everybody wants to tell people to leave their jobs, but if we're talking about the idea and the concept of generational wealth, and also putting this in the constructs of what we're talking about with Black Wall Street and moving forward, then we have to look at the fact that some people still need to go to work. Some people need to work these ideas out while they're still getting a paycheck. And then you can go forth and you can multiply, and then you can be all of the things that you need to be once you get the standing, once you get the reputation, once you start getting the customers, once you start building it. And so I think that, to me, that's an important thing, especially when we talk about generational wealth, is that we as Black people oftentimes want to just quit everything and we just want to completely focus on one thing. I'm a big believer in focusing on one thing, but I'm also a big believer in who is going to pay for that thing. And so now when you can say, well, look, I'm going to get this daytime money from the job, but then when I have the rest of my time, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to build this business. I think that this is the way that we can move forward to have a better Black Wall Street, and then to also get the experience. Because at some people's jobs, they're getting, what's the word I'm looking for? Tell your mama, say, hey, what is this? At some people's jobs, they're getting other training. They're paying to go get training. They're getting all kinds of different benefits and stuff like that. And so use those benefits, use all of that, and still build your business simultaneously. But just make sure that your business has a focus on serving the people.
You said something there, though, about you're building something that keep their job. But a lot of times we fight to keep and then have that business. I mean, you get a job. I've had that want you to tell them what you're doing on the job.
Oh.
They get to kind of decide, if that is in conflict with what they're doing, if they like the competition. So I think what you did is amazing, because what you're doing now, getting that pathway for people. Because I'm off. So it depends upon, you can't do that and do this job. They feel like it's in the way. So this what you're going to do is really, because I mean, that's amazing. Yeah. So I say us, because so many of us who have a job or have that job doing, and it's okay now because I'm not an employee. But when I was an employee, I felt like I could. So I think start is that is going to be.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that I think that because I've had to sign conflict of interest things before, where it was like, okay, well, this is now, could this be a conflict of interest? And I said to them, I said, well, it's clearly a conflict of interest, because I'm not going to turn down some money that I know is the right money for me to go get because of certain things. So if you feel like that's going to be a problem, then I'm going to pick whichever is the highest contract, and then I'm going to go on and I'm going to leave. But I think that this is where I think the problem is with a lot of people, is not disclosing the fact that you are doing something else.
Yes.
But you also have to then go back, because it depends on when you started your business and what you were doing. What if you didn't start your business until after you know what I'm saying, after you took the job? And so there was nothing for you to disclose until afterwards, and then that can become an issue. But the other thing to look at is Sometimes people talk too much. And so it's a lot of people that I know that have jobs and they are doing their things on the side and they do not want people to know that they're doing their things on the side. So I think that if you can start to get quiet money, that's where the issue comes in at. Quiet money, because you don't have to tell everybody that this is your business. They could just be out there loving the business and utilizing the services. Now, unless they see you directly doing the business, and this is going to be contingent upon what you're doing, as the business. But I see a lot of people that, they may put an about statement on their website and it doesn't really tell you that much about the person. It's not like necessarily a bio. It's just really about the business and what the business does. And that's one way that you can do it, because a lot of times people just want to tell somebody that they're doing a business, and it's because maybe they want attention, or maybe they feel like, one day they're going to tell somebody, I'm going to leave this job, and that's fine. But at the same time, there is a way to do some things and to not tell everybody what you're doing and just work the business. And it could be, this is another option, depending on how close or far you are, or whatever you're doing, that you might need to do the business out of state. It could be that you need to do the business in a different town. It just depends on what you're doing. But sometimes people want to tell on themselves so much that then it brings attention to them. And people pay attention to what you're doing, whether you think so or not. So when you think about it like this, when you are, and this is probably just most people in general, depending on how they post, but if something's going wrong in your life, I think that what happens is you post differently. When things are up and happy and cheery, you post differently. And it is human nature for us to want affection from people, right? You know what I'm saying? And I mean affection in the sense of, go on, girl. Yeah, that's great. Thumbs up. High five. You know what I mean? We want that.
Oh, I lost you again.
It's like, I think Kim went out again. Kim, you back? Okay.
I'm back. Yep. Yes.
Because I saw you gotta come back in. But it also is when we're hurting and we're going through some stuff, we want people to empathize with us during those time frames. So if you're in business, business is up and down. And if you're working your day job and then all of a sudden you start posting about some other stuff, people can tell and they start paying attention to it. And I want you to understand that there's always somebody that's looking, whether you think they are or aren't. So even like when you take into consideration, there's been teachers who have gotten fired from their jobs because they were on OnlyFans. First of all, y'all know y'all don't pay these teachers enough money. So if she want to get on there and show her toes, let her show her toes, okay? I'm on toes. We're going to stay on point since I hurt my toe tonight, right? If she want to show her toes on OnlyFans, let her show her toes. Because the thing is, what are you doing on OnlyFans, nosy parent? What are you doing on OnlyFans, nosy counselor or nosy coworker, right? And so the thing is, how did you even know this teacher was on there? Because mind you, that teacher probably did not put her name up there. But what it was is you on OnlyFans being nosy, looking, and then you saw, that's Miss Patterson. That's Miss Susie. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes people are trying to be low key. And I've even seen it happen to, there was this lady that was a parent and her kid was going to a Catholic school and they wanted to expel her kid because she was on OnlyFans. But that's none of your business.
And it's her kid, it's not her child.
She was trying to build generational wealth too, just in a different way. Okay, she was on OnlyFans trying to build some generational wealth. Put her baby through school.
Should have paid that tuition.
You know, girl, please, Catholic school ain't free.
Oh my goodness. But yes, there's that. And then like you have to hire, I had to get people to do certain things. I do have multiple guys money, so you have to handle your business.
Yep.
Understand what's going on, and they make a lot of money. They handle your too much, like
quiet money. Yeah. But you know what? The thing is, I think all of us should make some type of quiet money. I mean, it should be something that we do that's just pulling in a little something that we maybe don't tell everybody about. And, then it's the bigger things that we do. And, then that's the stuff that you probably want everybody to know about. But, when we're talking about, to me, building generational wealth, I think you really have to look at, do you want to leave something for somebody? Is that a priority for you? And for a lot of us, I mean, it might not necessarily be a priority. So I want to speak to the people who, not necessarily saying that they don't care about generational wealth, but I think you have to realize what the biggest key to generational wealth is. The biggest key is patience. That's the biggest key. It's not just about, oh, let me save some money. Because see, the problem with us a lot of times, specifically with Black people, as soon as we save some money, something happens and we need to spend it. Okay? The people that have built generational wealth have been patient for years on top of years on top of years, building something, even if it was little by little, and they didn't spend it, and they kept growing it. And what they do is they continue to put themselves in positions that allow other people to want to give them money. And it's the relationships that are built in between there. And a lot of it is also looking a certain way and being in a certain place. Because sometimes, I think now it might be changing a little bit. And I'm only saying that not really to me, but if you look at the new millionaires now, the new millionaires don't even look like me and you, to be honest with you. Like, me and you are a lot more tame than the new millionaires. The new millionaires are out here being 18, 19, 20, 21 years old.
Wow.
A lot of them don't care about, and I'm just, just kind of generalizing, but a lot of them don't even care about clothes and all of the rest of that. They just want to go on vacations.
Yeah.
So they might not even have on clothes most of the time. They have on bikinis and swim trunks, okay? And they just want that freedom that comes along with being a millionaire. You cannot tell me that they're really pressed about generational wealth. The difference is now, if I'm not really worried about generational wealth, I just want to spend as much time as I have now being happy. And that might mean travel. That might mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But that digital nomad thing is real. You know what I'm saying? So if you're not as pressed about generational wealth, what I would say is, even if you had money to leave, do you really want to leave it to some of those people? Are those people worth leaving it to? Now, even if you have kids, you might just say, well, listen, I just want to, I'm just saying, just in general, right? It's a lot of people that are like, well, I just want to just live my best life. Some of us don't have kids like that to leave money to. Do you have friends and family and relatives that you would leave that money to? So I think that you have to also look at who you're talking to when you're talking about generational wealth to see if that's something that they even really want to do. Because if I had XYZ amount of dollars that was I can just live off of it, I would not be in this country, okay? I would be in a whole nother country, and I told people, I would say, look at these Americans over here. I would be in a whole nother country. Like, look at them trying to vote. Look at these people out here trying to be walkers. Okay, we're not going to get into that. But it's just, you would do different things. Do you notice that the people that they're just like, oh, we're on holiday. I want to be on holiday.
I want to be on holiday too, because they're on holiday.
And I'm just saying, sometimes everybody doesn't have somebody to leave something to. So maybe we need to kind of rethink what we need to do to get to be a millionaire, if that's what our goal is. And who do we want to leave something to? Or if it's not a who, what's the legacy that we want? Because what if we don't have anybody that we want to leave it to, but we can leave it to our school, or we can leave it to our church, or we can leave it to a nonprofit that's going to do good. It could be that that's our way to keep giving generationally.
Exactly. Pathways to that, like, how you, like you said, you might have someone to, like, but look what you did, like you have so many nonprofits starting this Black Wall. I know this your legacy is going to have a stamp you know, Wall Street, firms, all these different things that can, there's more than one way to get this done. And that's why it's an important conversation. And top of the hour, we have talked almost.
We got a little bit of time, and we did have to go out and come back in, so you just let me know. I'm good to go. But yeah, I would say, if I could add in anything else too, is when I was talking about the patience part of like building, the biggest thing that I would say with us, and you can clearly see that it's becoming more prevalent now, is ownership. And when people don't own their names, like, that's really where a lot of it comes from, where it doesn't allow you to be able to build that generational wealth. So one of the things that we were adamant about with this business here, with us doing Give It to the People, was making sure that we trademark the stuff. So Real Ass Affirmations is trademark, Give It to the People is trademark. And I'm going to tell you why I think that's important. I think that the thing about when you trademark is you have to tell them in advance what categories you want to be trademarked in. So what it does is it sets your mindset up to say, well, I might not have this now, but these are things that I think that I want to build. And because I want to build those things, let me get into that category, right? And so, you know, like there's other stuff too that I don't have yet that I know that's not a part of my trademark, but like you could trademark stuff to be in the metaverse, right? And that's a totally different separate than the trademarks that I have now, right? And so the thing about the trademark is if you own that name, you want that name to be able to exist after you're gone. Yes. And so when you think about like one of the most important books when we talk about the mindset of business is Napoleon Hill, when he's talking about, you know, what you need to do to be successful. And that whole concept of business is business in the 1900s, and it's in business in the 2000s and the 2020s and on, the principles don't necessarily change, but the medium changes. But you being able to own your name means that nobody else is going to be able to use that. And that also means that if you get to a certain point in business that you can license your name out, right? And so that makes sense. The question, it says, my question is, why did you choose 90-day increments and where can I purchase your book? So for the book, thank you. I said Napoleon Hill, but I didn't say the name. Think and Grow Rich. Thank you, Donnell. So you can buy the book on Amazon. You can go type in 90-day focus. You can also go to giveittothepeople.com and you can go on there. The book's on there as well. And you can definitely make a purchase. Get it, girl. Okay. But the thing about it is, as far as the 90-day increments, is because it takes time for you to make habits. And if you look at it, Mother Nature is already set up in quarters, right? So every 90 or so days, things are going to change. The weather's going to change. The sun is going to change. The leaves outside, the birds and the bees. And so when we look at it and you look at a 90-day time frame, it's enough to not be overwhelmed. It's enough to give you something to do, something to achieve, something to accomplish. And I really, truly believe that whenever you're trying to, you know, do something, you have to set a time frame. And when you set that time frame, if you set it for like 5 years from now, it seems so far off. But 90 days seems like, yeah, let me go ahead, I can do that, right? So I was just talking, we were watching this thing today, and the lady was talking about how she had got her jaw was broken. It's a reason why, but her jaw was broken and she had to have her mouth not sewed together, but what is the dental term? But, you know, had to have it, I can't think of the word, closed up. Let's just call it that, right? It is a word that I am missing. Oh, man, I can't even think of it, but where they lock the jaw, right? So in that time frame, she was just saying, you know, what she was able to get done and how she did wired. Yes, thank you. Because I'm like, I cannot think of wired to save my life. Thank you, y'all. All right. So she had it wired shut, right? And so in the time frame, she was just saying how she did things differently because she couldn't, right? So you couldn't open your mouth to eat certain food. And I was thinking, I was like, girl, listen, I might wire my mouth shut voluntarily, honey, because then I would lose some weight, right? Because I would be drinking smoothies. You wouldn't be able to do such and such. And I'm just thinking, but you know, you could wire your mouth shut now if you stop eating, right? Like, you know, you could just drink smoothies now, right? Like you could literally do that. So the thing is, when I'm using this as an example, because let's use the word wired. You could wire yourself differently. And that's how I look at the 90-day focus. We're wiring our minds to say, I got 90 days to do this. Let me achieve this task in this time frame, and I can do it. Right. And so that's why I feel like the book is really to build confidence in yourself that you can accomplish something in that time frame. And so, you know, you can do it. So if I said, okay, well, look, you know what? I'm not going to keep eating and snacking. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get on these smoothies for the next 90 days. Betty girl, she would probably slim all the way down. Right. But you have to decide that you want to do that and make that a goal, and then actually do the actions to make it happen. So we'll see. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't think I'm going to wire my jaw shut, like physically, but you still have to just change your mindset.
Yep. And I grabbed the book that you have it. You even have for your goals, your professional goals, tools you need. Is a great. I love like a workbook. So
Yep.
You can write. And I keep on going back to it. So it's not just.
And that's the thing, right? Like your goals change.
Right. And I go back, read what I did. Oh, okay. I'm doing something. You know, it makes you feel good because, you know, it's like I'll write the goal and I'll kind of out in the 90-day and I'll write, oh, wait a minute. I really did. And it makes me feel so good.
And that confidence, when I'm telling you, achieving something that you set out to, and that's why, you know, when I was talking earlier about God was already setting stuff up a year ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago, that then now you're seeing the fruits of those labor. Now you're seeing yourself do those things. And I'm just like, you know what, sometimes I'm amazed because you have to really look at where you came from. You have to really look at where you want to go. And that's where the intention comes. So, you know, being patient with yourself and being kind to yourself when you are not feeling your best, I think to me is one of the things that I could say has been key, been clutch for me. And so, you know, one of the things that is like a tenet of what we do at Give It to the People is we call it mental wealth. So getting your mind right and your money right. And I'm a big believer, more than I have ever been, in the fact that you need time to just be you. Like being a business owner is hard. Being somebody's employee is hard. But you know, just being you sometimes and giving yourself time to just decompress, time to focus on what matters to you does make a huge difference. And then what it does is it presents an opportunity for clarity on what you want to do next and who you want to be. And that's why the 90-day focus is so important, because every 90 days something changes. So if you think about what you were doing and what you were thinking about from the beginning of the year, you know what I mean? Like, even you, Kim, what made you decide I'm going to do this series? When did you decide you were going to do this series?
I decided this like last quarter. So
okay, last quarter. And now here the series is.
Yeah, series this.
And all it's going to do is keep growing. You know what I'm saying? And let me tell you how God worked too. I'm the third person on the series, right?
Right.
3 is my number. 3 is my line number. 3 is my favorite number. 3 is the God number. God keep blessing me with 3. And let me tell you how I also knew that I was supposed to get the office that I got, right, to do our studio. It's sweet 3. God don't play about me. God do not play about me.
Where's Tammy? Tammy with you. Where's Tammy? Where is Tammy?
Tammy is at the studio, okay? She at the studio. But it's okay. Because look, I'm a hold up. Lord, you put my fan out. Hold on.
Wait a minute now.
We're going to get a fan. I'm going to give you some fan blowing. Look at the hair going. But I'm telling you, like, and so when you look at 90 days, what is 90 days? 3 months.
3.
God don't play about me. You don't realize how, oh, girl, you hit me with a tear. Hold on. Don't have me crying. Don't do it. Okay, I just did my little face. Don't do it. Don't make me cry. But what I want to see, you don't realize how blessed you are sometimes when you're going through things. And when we talk about generational wealth, it is something that it's I don't think all of us were blessed with healthy relationships growing up, right? Everybody had something crazy. Now, if anybody had a perfect childhood, good for you, right? But the generational wealth, sometimes that trauma that somebody else went with and had to deal with, and this relationship didn't go right and whatever, that affects how you then start to become a better person. And you'll see things that's like, I don't want my life to be like that because this is how their life was, and look at this. And it's like it develops you into a person that makes a decision that you want something different, you want something better, you want something that maybe your parents didn't have. You want something that you didn't grow up seeing, or something that you did grow up seeing, depending on how your life was. But you got to find the right person and the right people and the right circle and the right circumstance in order to make that happen. And I'm a big believer in creating the life that you want to see. And that's why one of the things, like when I use my little hashtags, is quality of life now. The quality of life that I want does not allow for a whole bunch of foolishness to be in it. It doesn't allow for certain people to be in it. It doesn't allow for me to go to certain places. The quality of life that I want things to be calm. I want things to be happy. I want things to smell good. I want things to look good, feel good. I want the right colors in my life. I want the ambiance. I want the feng shui of it. I want all of those things. I want a fan at all times, okay? I want a fan at all times, because you know the girl.
Right, diligent manifestation, all of that, all of that. I lost you again.
It's like, I need all of these things, and you see the tears is trying. If you don't get out of here, tears, they're trying to come out.
Oh,
but I'm and let me tell you something. I want great friends like you. I want people in my life that just speak continual life and that are continuing to grow themselves and their family, and that always have good things to say out of their mouth, and that are encouraging. And we can keep on just throwing that back and forth to each other in a whole entire, infinity. We need infinity stones, because we just gonna keep on throwing it all back to each other. And what you say, we all creators, but we got to create the things that we really want in our lives. A lot of people are creating some foolishness. We are creating this infinity of just beautiful love for each other and for what we feel like we really want to see in this world. Let me stop. You got me.
Oh,
Y'all got it. Okay.
Well, we done did it. Oh my God. We did it. We did it.
Yes, I water you, you water me. That's what I'm talking about. Don't overwater me though. You get too much water, honey, you be done drown. But just enough water. Give me that living water. I need all of that. Yes.
Well, you gave it to the people tonight.
Listen, it just hit me. I'm telling you, like, it just hit me. That's why I was like, oh my God, I feel it. And I was like, it better not be one of them ugly cries. It don't do it. Please don't do it. Because I get emotional. I'm an emotional thug now too. I'm gonna throw you some old, And what did Donnell used to, one of the things, I just never liked that Mary song, that I Love God. But because my song, honey, is You Brought the Sunshine. I promise you put that Clark Sisters on, I'm gonna give you a tear every time. I can't help it, that Clark Sisters, because it just feels like if I could live in a song, right, as far as something that makes me feel good, but then also makes me feel like, it's that You Brought the Sunshine. That thing just tears me to pieces in the best way.
Yeah. Look, the emotional thug.
I'm an emotional thug. I am. I'm an emotional thug. I am. Mm-hmm. I am.
This has been amazing. Oh my God. People start asking questions. Anybody else have any questions, Chisa? While we're here.
They typing in. I see all of the good words. I just want you to know, okay, I appreciate y'all so much, especially after this toe incident that we done had this evening. And I'm always, I told Kim, I said, I'm going to be a slightly tamer version, because the other version, she cuss a lot. So we're not going to bring that version out tonight, but we just, I said, whatever God got for us to give out here tonight, we're going to give it to the people. It's going to be fun. you know, we're just going to enjoy. And I don't know if this was what anybody else needed, but this is what I needed tonight. And it's just making me feel so much better. So I appreciate you for allowing me to be on your platform. I appreciate everybody for watching and typing in, and hearts and loves and smiley faces and all of that. Thank you so much.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all. You know, I love you for being here tonight. I'm gonna let you go take care of that. Handle the toe. We need the toe.
Yeah, because I got to go to this party tomorrow night. I got to make sure this toe is all right.
Yeah, so you go take care of that. Thank you so much tonight. Y'all, I will see you next week. Next week with Sonya up for lunch. And I'll keep watching, and I'll talk about her next week. I love you. Thank y'all.
Thank y'all. Give it to the people, everybody.
All right. Bye.